So, Kirti, give us a sense of what happened in the courtroom. How was it a packed courtroom? How long did it take for the arguments to conclude? And when the verdict was pronounced, what were the immediate reactions of the various parties? Give us a sense of what exactly went inside the courtroom.
Well, yes, Rohit, today around 3:30 is the time when the verdict was expected. Before that, for about nearly 2 hours, the arguments went inside the courtroom. The lawyers of all of these four convicts were present for the longest time. The arguments from their side was that their legal options are still remaining. They, at least 3 of them, have still not filed a mercy petition with the president. They should be allowed to do that. They cannot be deprived of their right by, and a death warrant cannot be issued in a hurry. However, the public prosecutors kept countering that claim by saying that they've not filed it this long, so no, they should not be allowed to buy any more time by using that basis. And of course, along with those arguments being made, there were several emotional moments as well as inside the courtroom. As we said, one of the convicts, Mukesh Singh's mother, she went up to Nirbhaya's mother, broke down into tears and said that if you could just forgive my son, I am pleading before you to let him live. And Nirbhaya's mother also became very emotional when the verdict was announced because she has fought such a long battle. So all of this is what was going inside in the courtroom. The media was there initially, but many of them were asked to move out. And it was very few people by the end of it. The judges, the convicts, as well as their lawyers, and very few family members. Only those were present inside the courtroom when the verdict was finally announced. And very hard moments for both Nirbhaya's mother as well as the convicts' families, as we've been saying, mothers on both sides breaking down, seeing for one the fight for her daughters, for justice for her daughter, and for the other mother to know that her son would be hanged on 22nd of January at 7 a.m. So very difficult moments for the families involved, but as far as the legal procedures are concerned, it has taken a very long time, and now it remains to be seen whether these remaining legal options that the convicts still have, whether they'll be exploring those or not. Rohit.
All right, Sukirti Dwivedi, stay with us. So emotional scenes after the verdict there inside the courtroom. Let's in fact listen in to one of the lawyers of the convict in the case, what he had to say after this verdict.
सिक्योरिटी पिटीशन जैसे हमें डॉक्यूमेंट 1-2 दिन में जैसे डॉक्यूमेंट मिल जाएंगे हम उसको फाइल कर देंगे।
तो आपको क्या लगता है सर, आज कोर्ट ने आपको वक्त दिया कि नहीं दिया?
हाँ, कोर्ट ने वक्त दिया है हमें कि ये चीज़ फाइल करने के लिए जो टाइम चाहिए था हमें कोर्ट ने टाइम दिया, हम उसके आधार पर फाइल करेंगे। आगे का फाइलिंग करना हमारा काम है, डिसीजन लेना कोर्ट का काम है। अब ये देखना है कि इस देश पर मीडिया भारी होती है, पब्लिक भारी होती है, पब्लिक प्रेशर, मीडिया प्रेशर, पॉलिटिकल प्रेशर जो इस केस में शुरू से ही रहा है। ना तो निष्पक्ष जांच हुई, ना निष्पक्ष फैसले हुए, ना कोर्ट ने अपने लीगल रेमेडीज को पूरी तरह से करने का प्रयास किया। तो ये सब भारी प्रेशर के होने के बावजूद ये केस आज इस स्तर पर पहुंचा है। और आज आप देख रहे हैं पूरे देश में और भी केस होंगे, और भी केस हुए, और भी डिसीजन हुए होंगे, लेकिन पूरा देश की, पूरे विश्व की निगाहें इस केस की तरफ हैं। ये सबसे बड़ा मीडिया ट्रायल होने के बाद केस में इस तरह की ऐसी समस्याएं आती हैं। और फांसी का फंदा गरीबों के लिए ही बना है। इस देश में फांसी का फंदा और फांसी की रस्सी अमीरों के गले में फिट नहीं बैठती है, ना उनके लिए बनी है। ये मैं नहीं कह रहा, ये देश के पूर्व चीफ जस्टिस उन्होंने भी इस बात को कहा था। और इसीलिए महात्मा गांधी जिन फादर ऑफ नेशन, राष्ट्रपिता ने भी इसीलिए इन सब बातों को देखते हुए कहा था कि फांसी की सजा हिंसा है और वो हिंसा के पुजारी हैं। इस देश में हिंसा को जगह नहीं होनी चाहिए, इसीलिए फांसी की सजा का उन्होंने विरोध किया। एपीजे कलाम पूर्व राष्ट्रपति रहे, उन्होंने भी कहा, प्रतिभा देवी पाटिल रही, उन्होंने भी कहा, और देश के पूर्व और मुख्य न्यायाधीश रहे सुप्रीम कोर्ट के, उन्होंने भी इसका विरोध किया था।
So Nirbhaya rapists will be hanged on the 22nd of January at 7 o'clock in the morning. That's what a Delhi court has pronounced in its order on death warrants against the 4 convicts in the 2012 Nirbhaya gang rape and murder case. Now, during the hearing, the prosecution said that there was no application pending before any court or the president right now by any of the convicts, and the review petition of all the convicts was dismissed by the Supreme Court. Let's listen in to what the parents of Nirbhaya had to say after this verdict.
मेरी बेटी को इंसाफ मिलेगा, देश के बेटियों को इंसाफ मिलेगा, आगे भी मैं लड़ती रहूंगी।
जजमेंट से आगे और देश में ऐसी तरीके की घटनाएं रुकेंगी?
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, क्योंकि इस फांसी से देश के महिलाओं का कानून पर विश्वास जगेगा, आस्था जुड़ेगी और सबको इंसाफ मिलेगा।
22 तारीख को कैसा दिन होगा? 22 तारीख आपका ही क्या दिन होगा मैम? कैसा दिन होगा?
वो दिन हमारे लिए बहुत बड़ा दिन होगा।
इस कोर्ट के फैसले से मैं बहुत खुश हूँ, और खुश इसलिए ही नहीं हूँ कि हमारे निर्भया को न्याय मिल गया, बल्कि खुश इसलिए हूँ कि इनके वकीलों की इतने जाहिल दलीली देने के बावजूद भी कोर्ट ने आज हमको न्याय दे दिया। 22 जनवरी 7 बजे उनकी फांसी होगी, इसलिए हम बहुत खुश हैं।
सर, आपको क्या लगता है कि 22 आपने इतना साल से जो संघर्ष किया, इससे आपके केस के बाद कितना बदलाव आया?
देखिए, बदलाव तो हमारी घटना उसके बाद ही बहुत सारे कानून बन गए। कानून फॉलो किए गए नहीं किए गए मैं नहीं जानता, क्योंकि केस तो बढ़ती ही जा रही, अभी भी बढ़ी रही है। लेकिन एक जरूर है कि इस तरह के हैवानगी करने वाले लोगों के मन में डर जरूर पैदा होगा, क्योंकि 4 जब एक साथ लटकाए जाएंगे तो आगे आने वाली पीढ़ी भी सोचेगी कि नहीं, हम क्या करें क्या ना करें।
लंबा समय जो आपने किया, इस सफर के बारे में आप क्या कहना चाहेंगे?
देखिए, लंबा सफर जरूर था, लेकिन इसका अनुभव भी बहुत हुआ है। हमारे देश में किन किन चीजों की कमी है न्याय के लिए, तो इसका हमें बहुत अनुभव भी हुआ, लेकिन मैं खुश हूँ।
So 4 convicts, Pawan Gupta, Mukesh, Vinay Sharma and Akshay Kumar Singh, these people were on death row. They will now be hanged. The death sentence will be executed on the 22nd of January at 7 o'clock in the morning. The family of Nirbhaya saying that they are happy with the verdict, that this is justice for India's daughters. They have fought for 7 years. They have gone from court to court, hearing after hearing. After this 7 years fight, finally some sense of closure there with these 4 convicts being hanged. The order pronounced by the Delhi court that the death sentence of these 4 convicts will be executed on the 22nd of January at 7 o'clock in the morning. And as Sukriti was reporting, ahead of this execution, there was the preparations had already begun at jail number 3, where the executions at Tihar jail usually take place. At jail number 3, there was a dummy trial conducted, and there was specialized ropes that were brought from the Buxar jail for execution. So that preparation already have begun in Tihar jail for this execution. Now this death sentence will be executed on the 22nd. That's what the court have pronounced. The lawyer of one of the convicts, though, is saying that they will go ahead and file the curative petition in the Supreme Court and then wait for the court's decision, because they have 14 days, 2 weeks before this death sentence is executed on the 22nd of January. All right, let's go across to Lalita Kumaramangalam, member of the BJP and also former chairperson of the National Commission for Women. Ma'am, thanks very much for joining us. Your reaction to this verdict, finally some closure for the parents of Nirbhaya?
Yes, my first reaction is a great feeling of relief, because it's not only vindication of, the strong, long struggle that Nirbhaya's parents have had, but also some justice finally has been made available to that poor child who was raped so brutally and almost left for dead on the road that cold night. Now, I'm told one of these guys, the criminals, one of the accused, have said they're going to file a curative petition, but the court has given him only 15 days. And from what we've seen of the last judgment of the Supreme Court last month, as well as when Afzal Guru had after the curative petition filed a mercy petition, it doesn't look like there's going to be much chance of these guys getting off, being let off. So I also think that it's a welcome signal finally after 7 long years, a welcome sign that people who behave with such brutality will not be allowed to get away with it. But I do hope that in future, especially because the current Supreme Court has taken cognizance of the fact that it takes so long for people to get justice, especially the Chief Justice himself. I hope that the court comes up with some strictures where, they say that there should be time-bound justice that is meted out, that it can't be dragged on like this by unscrupulous lawyers and, criminals who have some sort of access to the justice system. However, first, I'd also like to congratulate Nirbhaya's parents, her mother and father, who have struggled for such a long time on their own steam, not given up hope. I think, remarkable job done by them. And I thank, everybody who has played any role in getting this poor child justice.
Ms. Kumaramangalam, this case was an inflection point in the fight for safety and justice for women in India. But some would argue, as you were also saying, that it has still taken 7 years for this death sentence, the execution of the death sentence to happen. Do you think we still have a long way to go in promising time-bound, speedy justice to India's daughters?
Unequivocally, I would say that we have a very, very long way to go. Our courts, our justice system needs an enormous amount of reform before India can actually claim to provide safety for its girls and women. The laws are there, but the system is extremely slow. And this is why I think there was that reaction when the Hyderabad encounter took place. I was one of the few people who said that it's frightening to see that, anarchy could well set in, that anybody can take the law into their own hands and say that, it was an encounter without even actual proof being available as to whether those people were the criminals or not. Now, that is why I'm glad that finally a date has been set for the hanging of Nirbhaya's rapist. But I do think that the justice system in India requires an enormous amount of reform. The laws are great. We have very tough laws, but it's in the implementations of the laws that we really fall short. And everybody in this country who has worked with women, any woman who wants justice, she feels that is where she's let down.
All right, Ms. Kumaramangalam, thanks very much for joining us with your reaction to this story. So the death warrants have been issued in the Nirbhaya case. The 4 convicts, those pictures up on your screens, those 4 convicts will be hanged on the 22nd of January at 7 o'clock. They have 14 days. One of the lawyers of a convict had said that we are going ahead in filing a curative petition in the Supreme Court. Lalita Kumaramangalam feels that there's not much chance of that curative petition going through. But the preparations, in fact, of the execution has already begun in Tihar jail. Sukirti Dwivedi was reporting at jail number 3, where the dummy trial has been conducted. A specialized ropes have been brought in from the Buxar jail. So that is happening at Tihar jail at the moment. And those the preparations ahead of the execution that has to be taken place that has to take place on the 22nd of January. Now, these 4 convicts were sentenced to death. They will be hanged on at 7 o'clock on the 22nd of January. Now, what did Nirbhaya's mother say immediately after the verdict? She said that this judgment will reinforce people's faith in the judiciary. My daughter will get justice, and this is justice for India's daughters. And that's what she said. She wept as soon as that verdict was announced. She broke down inside the courtroom. Also, one of the convicts' mother, Mukesh's mother, also broke down in the court, pleading with Nirbhaya's mother to let her son live. Now, Nirbhaya's mother had wept at the time before the judge, who consoled her, saying that he was bound by the law. Nirbhaya's mother said that I have been running from pillar to post for 1 year for this order on the execution of the death warrants. Now that order finally been pronounced, one of the lawyers of the convicts has said that they'll file a curative petition in the top court. Now, besides these 4 convicts, the pictures of whom you can see on your screens, there were 2 more accused in the rape and murder of Nirbhaya. Ram Singh, the 5th accused, committed suicide, and a juvenile was released after 3 years in a reform home. Now these 4 convicts, the remaining 4 convicts, Akshay Kumar Singh, Mukesh, Pawan Gupta and Vinay Sharma, they were found guilty in the 2012 gang rape, torture and killing of a young medical student Nirbhaya in Delhi. They will be hanged on the 22nd of January. All right, let's slip into a short break. We are continuing to focus on this story, get you various reactions on it. Stay with us. We are back in just a bit. All right, let's, before going into that break, let's in fact listen to some of the reactions that are coming in. What NDTV's correspondents were there in the court. They'll describe to us what happened there inside the courtroom.
नए वकील हैं मुकेश के और हम इनकी पैरवी करेंगे, लेकिन कोर्ट ने उनकी अर्जी को खारिज कर दिया, ये कहते हो कि अभी तक आप कहाँ थे। और तमाम जो वकील थे कोर्ट में, उन्होंने ये भी सवाल उठाया कि बार बार इस तरह से कोई नया वकील आता है और वो कहता है कि हम इनकी पैरवी करेंगे, तो ये अब नहीं चलेगा। इस मामले में सुनवाई बहुत हो चुकी है और अब 7 साल लंबा वेट हो गया है, इसमें जो है अब फैसला देना होगा। उसके बाद कोर्ट ने जो दोषी मुकेश हैं उनसे भी वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंस से बात की और ये पूछा कि क्या आपके वकील एमएल शर्मा है कि नहीं है, तो उन्होंने मना कर दिया। जब उसने मना कर दिया तो फिर एमएल शर्मा कोर्ट रूम से बाहर निकल गए। तो मैं एक आपको एग्जांपल दे रहा हूँ कि ये टैक्टिक रही है वकीलों की कि किसी न किसी तरह से डेट पे डेट बढ़ती रहे और मामले को लटकाया जाए। लेकिन कोर्ट ने तय कर लिया था, सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने जिस तरह से सख्त रूप अपनाया इस मामले को लेकर, और जो तमाम इस तरह के मामले हो रहे हो, चाहे वो कुलदीप संगर का मामला हो या और दूसरे मामले हों तेलंगाना में हुआ, तो उनको देखकर सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने काफ़ी सख्त रुख अपनाया और उसी का नतीजा है कि शायद आज कोर्ट ने अपना जजमेंट सुना दिया है और अब 22 तारीख को 7 बजे जो फांसी की सज़ा है वो मुकर्रर कर दी गई है। हालांकि जैसा आपने कहा कि क्यूरेटिव पिटीशन का जो ऑप्शन है वो बचता है, तो ये लोग अभी कोर्ट जाएंगे और वहाँ पर ये पिटीशन भी पर सुनवाई होगी, लेकिन लगता नहीं कि कोई राहत मिलने वाली है। जो फांसी की डेट मुकर्रर है, मुझे लगता है कि शायद उस डेट में जो फांसी है हो जाएगी।
हाँ, तो साफ तौर पर क्योंकि क्यूरेटिव में अभी 14 दिन का वक्त दे दिया है।
All right, joining me on the phone line right now is former Delhi Police Commissioner Neeraj Kumar, who handled the Nirbhaya gang rape and murder case. Mr. Kumar, thanks very much for joining us. Your first reaction to this verdict?
It's a matter of great satisfaction that we have come to this day when the final verdict has been pronounced in the Nirbhaya case. It is a vindication of our investigation and all the good work that we had done. So it is indeed a great moment for us.
Mr. Kumar, the lawyer of one of the convicts has said that there was political public pressure on this case. So the inquiry, he was alleging some sort of bias in the investigation. What would you say to that?
I strongly deny it. Our investigation was amply backed by forensic evidence, which were irrefutable, indisputable, and there is no way a finger can be pointed at the work that was done.
Mr. Kumar, this case was a watershed moment of sorts in the criminal jurisprudence, if I can say that. Tell us how you went about investigating this case in the quickest possible time.
See, the first thing was that we had to crack the case. It was to begin with a blind case. There were no clues. We managed to first identify that a white bus was used, trace that bus, then trace the driver, interrogate him and confront him with certain scientific evidence like his phone details and the positions of his phone, from where he could not retract, and he had to admit that he was in that particular bus. And thereafter, he revealed to us who else was there in the bus, as part of the crime. And one by one, we arrested everybody, and within 5 days, we had got all the accused. And within 10 days of the last arrest, we charge sheeted the case. So it was a highly professional and highly prompt investigation that was done by us, and a matter of great professional satisfaction.
Mr. Kumar, you're saying within 5 days you got all the accused. In 10 days they were charge sheeted, yet it took 7 years for this order to come, the execution of the death warrants. What do you think needs to change in the justice system?
I do feel very strongly that this delay could have been reduced by more than half. But for that to happen, the government, the judiciary, everybody has to sit together and devise ways and means to cut down on adjournments and to make the final delivery of justice far, far quicker.
All right. Mr. Neeraj Kumar, thanks very much for joining us with your perspective on this story. So, Neeraj Kumar there, who handled the Nirbhaya gang rape and murder case, saying that it's the vindication of their investigation, saying that it was a blind case at the beginning, but within 5 days they got all the accused, and within 10 days they were charge sheeted. So these 4 convicts, the pictures of whom you see on your screens, will be hanged on the 22nd of January at 7 o'clock in the morning. That's what a Delhi court has announced today. Now this after 7 long years of fight for justice, the fight that was spearheaded by the parents of Nirbhaya, finally a closure to them and justice for Nirbhaya. These 4 convicts will be hanged on the 22nd of January. Akshay Kumar Singh, Mukesh, Pawan Gupta and Vinay Sharma. These are the 4 convicts who have been found guilty in the 2012 gang rape, torture and killing of a young medical student Nirbhaya in Delhi. And besides these 4 convicts, there were 2 more who were accused in the rape and murder. Ram Singh, who is the 5th accused, committed suicide, and a juvenile was released after 3 years in a reform home. So these 4 people, Akshay Kumar Singh, Mukesh, Pawan Gupta and Vinay Sharma, will be hanged on the 22nd of January. Let's in fact listen in to Nirbhaya's parents, what they said immediately after this verdict was delivered.
मेरी बेटी को इंसाफ मिलेगा, देश के बेटियों को इंसाफ मिलेगा, आगे भी मैं लड़ती रहूंगी।
इस जजमेंट से आगे और देश में ऐसी तरीके की घटनाएं घटेंगी?
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, क्योंकि इस फांसी से देश के महिलाओं का कानून पर विश्वास जगेगा, आस्था जुड़ेगी और सबको इंसाफ मिलेगा। 22 तारीख को कैसा दिन होगा? 22 तारीख को बहुत तारीख आपके लिए क्या दिन होगा मैम? कैसा दिन होगा? कैसा दिन होगा? मैम वो दिन हमारे लिए बहुत बड़ा दिन होगा।
इस कोर्ट के फैसले से मैं बहुत खुश हूँ, और खुश इसलिए ही नहीं हूँ कि हमारे निर्भया को न्याय मिल गया, बल्कि खुश इसलिए हूँ कि इनके वकीलों की इतने जाहिल दलीली देने के बावजूद भी कोर्ट ने आज हमको न्याय दे दिया। 22 जनवरी 7 बजे उनकी फांसी होगी, इसलिए हम बहुत खुश हैं।
आपको क्या लगता है कि 22 आपने इतना साल से जो संघर्ष किया, इससे आपके केस के बाद कितना बदलाव आया?
देखिए, बदलाव तो हमारी घटना हुई उसके बाद ही बहुत सारे कानून बन गए। कानून फॉलो किए गए नहीं किए गए मैं नहीं जानता, क्योंकि केस तो बढ़ती ही जा रही, अभी भी बढ़ी रही है। लेकिन एक जरूर है कि इस तरह के हैवानगी करने वाले लोगों के मन में एक डर जरूर पैदा होगा, क्योंकि 4 जब एक साथ लटकाए जाएंगे तो आगे आने वाली पीढ़ी भी सोचेगी कि नहीं, हम क्या करें क्या ना करें।
लंबा समय जो आपने क्या इस सफर के बारे में आप क्या कहना चाहेंगे?
देखिए, लंबा सफर जरूर था, लेकिन इसका अनुभव भी बहुत हुआ है। हमारे देश में किन किन चीजों की कमी है न्याय के लिए, तो इसका हमें बहुत अनुभव भी हुआ, लेकिन मैं खुश हूँ।
Joining me on the phone line is Sukirti Dwivedi, who's been tracking all the developments of this case, was in the courtroom as this verdict was announced. Sukirti, first of all, give us the sense of what went on inside the courtroom and what were the arguments put forth by the lawyers from both sides.
Well, Rohit, as far as the lawyers of the convicts are concerned, they kept telling the court that the death warrant should not be issued in any hurry, and that the convicts should be allowed to explore their legal options and they are yet to file a mercy petition with the president. At least 3 of them have not filed a mercy petition with the president even once, and that should be allowed. But the public prosecutor countered all of those arguments by saying that in all of these years, it was in 2013 September that the conviction was made, and since then till now, they have not filed for a mercy petition with the president, and they are just making this excuse to buy more time, and that is why it should not be heard. So those arguments kept on being made. Other options like curative petitions were also discussed. The public prosecutor also tried to highlight and emphasize that the death warrant can be issued and within a span of 14 days from the day of the death warrant being issued, the hanging is supposed to take place. So that span of 14 days would still be available to these convicts, in which they can go ahead and explore their other legal options like filing a mercy petition before the president. So as far as the arguments within court are concerned, what we've learned from them and from what the lawyers have said is that even after this death warrant being issued, if the convicts want to still go ahead and file a mercy plea with the president, then they will be able to do that, which will lead to the execution being put on hold, and then it could lead to a delay. However, the possibility of that, it's hard to comment on that at this point of time, because that is an option that has not been taken by all of these convicts in last so many years. And in fact, as we've been saying, that Vinay, who is one of the convicts, he did file a mercy petition with the president earlier, late last year, somewhere around October he had filed it, but then December 1st week he withdrew it, and after that he did not file it again. So those options, there are several question marks over that. But at this point of time, now that we have a date, now that we have a time from the court, it seems like the execution will finally take place. Rohit.
Sukirti, you have earlier reported that the preparations for execution has already begun at Tihar jail. Tell us about that, those preparations that are going on in Tihar jail.
Yes, Rohit, NDTV had reported on 10th of December, that is at least a month earlier, we had reported that the preparations for the hanging have already begun, and that at that point of time, the authorities had started the preparations with the view that 3 review petitions, at least the review petitions of 3 of the convicts, had already been rejected by the Supreme Court by that point of time. And the 4th one, Akshay Thakur, had approached the Supreme Court, but the authorities expected that even that would get rejected, because going by the pattern that the Supreme Court has followed in the rest of the 3 cases. So going by those circumstances, the authorities had already started the preparations. Jail number 3 is the place where the executions take place, and that's the place where a dummy trial had also been conducted in December. In a dummy trial for an execution, what happens is that they take a wooden structure which is approximately the same weight of that of the convict, and they do that dummy trial to check whether the gallows will be able to sustain the weight of the convict or not when the execution actually takes place. So those procedures were carried out. Apart from that,
all right, so Sukirti Dwivedi reporting there that the preparations for the execution have already begun at jail number 3, where a dummy trial was conducted in December, in fact last month. A wooden structure of the same weight as that of the convict was used to see whether the gallows can handle the weight of the convict. So that hanging to take place on the 22nd of January. The convicts have 14 days to explore their other legal options. Otherwise, this death warrant will be executed on the 22nd of January at 7 o'clock in the morning. We'll get you all the reactions to this big story of the day. For the moment, it's time for a short break.